Hello and welcome to 3C Camp, where we connect, engage and grow. I'm Benta and I am your host. Well, last time we listened to the youth as they brought up their issues, specifically the communication gap between them and their parents. Well, this time we have a great privilege of listening to the parents as they respond to the same issues. Let's join the conversation.
Young people have talked, we've listened to them, and they have raised very pertinent issues. 3 fundamental things that we need to know. Number 1, they have talked about communication gap between the parents and them. Number 2, a honest dialogue. That means the honesty here that they are looking at is, indeed, as parents, do we accept that there are other mistakes that we did? Are we presenting ourselves as the angels, as the number ones, as people who never made any mistake? And number 3 is about holding onto them for too long. So these are the areas that they raise that are very interesting. As parents, we want to hear your views.
We need to be close to each other and close that gap, because their intentions are very good. Our intentions are very good, but we are addressing the intentions differently. So what we need to do then is, can we have a chance where we come together as parents and children and see what you call too much? You know, some of them are saying we have a problem because the parents are like, they are prescribing things to us in a manner to suggest that they are too holy, they never did this. Yes, but are we saying we cannot let them learn from our mistakes? Maybe we are not explaining what it is. So I think there is a need, there is an opportunity for us to come together and discuss the issues.
Our view or our issue of bringing up our children is always driven by the biblical statement that train up a child in the way he should go, so that when he grows up, he will not depart. But I also agree at times we overdo it. Maybe because of our past experiences, or because we are trying to make up for the mistakes we made when we were their age.
You have these special kids. I have 4. They are so different. The firstborn, you think the secondborn will be like the other one. They are so completely different. So in the process, we make mistakes. In my house, I encourage dialogue. I know my kids bring their boyfriends, but they know at what point they can bring their boyfriend, and you can bring your girlfriend and introduce them to me.
And I just want to get from the parents sitting here. I know some of you have teenagers. And do we really feel comfortable talking to our teenagers about sex in our own houses?
There are things that we always see as a taboo. But there are times when you see things that are going on in this world, that you open up. By the time I spoke to my daughter, is when she was going to university. I told her, you are going out of my house. You're going to live on your own. And the best time I can encourage you to start a relationship with now. When you go to university, open your eyes. Don't sit and wait. If you see this is a good person, look for a way of getting closer to this person in order for this person to come to you. That's what I told her. The day when she was leaving, I called my brothers, my sisters, and I said, okay, your niece is going, talk to her. I spoke, and like my brothers were like, that is too much. I said, no. It is happening, and it is there. If you think your best boyfriend, the boyfriend you're looking for is a drunkard, go and look for that drunkard now, because that is your life. If you're looking for someone from church, this is the time you should go to church, sing, get closer to the person you think sings well and you admire, and say, I like the way we sing, until you join together. I don't want you to come after 5 years from university, you start telling your aunties and cousins to look for your boyfriend that you didn't know. Get the person this time. So I don't think these people are young anymore. The problem we have with our young people, we don't give them responsibility. They're in the house, they don't cook, they don't wash. All this is done by the house girls. They have to be responsible. in order for us to trust them because we know they're responsible in all that they do.
At some point, we want to treat them as children. At some point, we want to treat them as adults. So they are also getting confused on the way. Who are we? Am I an adult in this house? Am I a child in this house? How do you bring them in line in a way that they don't feel offended?
The issues raised by the youth, I think one thing is coming out clearly that there's a communication gap, especially at that age of transition when they're leaving childhood to adulthood. We should create a platform for communication. We also need to accept that at their age, we also made mistakes. But unfortunately, we try to portray a picture that we were so good, we never made mistakes. We should let them learn from the mistakes we made. And we need to be open and tell them, at this age, yes, I was in Form 2, I did 1, 2, 3. I can give my case. I started taking Changa at class 6. Honestly, I took Changa at class 6. My parents didn't know. And do you know who was bringing the Changa? My own auntie. She used to sell Changa, and every time she would come home, she had a kubuyu. And she would tell me, hey, my nephew, you know, if you take this a bit, you'll be very sharp in school.
Right.
You're an engineer.
you see such kind of things. When I went to high school, now I at Form 1, my friends were Form 4s and Form 3s. Why? I was the smallest. I was the one carrying the jerry can when we were going to look for it. So you see such kind of things. Now, when my parents, especially my dad, got to know of it, what he did was to pick the cane. He beat me properly. But that did not solve the problem. Until we reached a time when he said, hey, this thing, we need to get the source, we need to talk to him. And incidentally, I stopped it on my own.
Most of us here as parents are rural parents. We were brought up in a setup where the school of parenting was, that master, of course, was your dad, but there are so many other teachers around. In our setup now, we have come out of the rural areas. We are in Nairobi. Here we are, maybe church members. Those parents are also parents of our children. So you want to restrict your child on some things, but the neighbor doesn't. You know, we are not having a same curriculum. So if it's the hair, you know, you cutting, you are like, this is not the right hair. But the neighbor has it, and coincidentally, your child can ask you, but so and so has that hair, and she's usually number 1. So the question is, why are you stopping me, and I'm not even better than her, you know? So we need to have a curriculum. I'm not talking about formal curriculum, but we need, even as parents, to agree what is good to our children, even as we apply the same back home as individual parents, so that the influence which comes may not mislead in some cases, because there's some places where you think what you are saying is good, but there's a lot of influence which you have to look at. The auntie of engineer here, it is funny that you are getting from the auntie. In my situation, we were the brewers. That's what took me to school. You know, my mother used to brew those things, a bit of it. We were 70 days, but 70 days by day. You know? By day, because on that day we don't go to the shamba, we don't go to the garden, we don't do, you know. The only thing is we sell, just to exchange. Yeah, that's what we used to have. But you see, we never used to, likely enough, we just knew this is a source of income. And we knew Pombe was bad because we could see how people get drunk around here. What am I saying? I'm saying your source was external. Ours, we had the circumstances different. You drank, we never drank. Up to now, we in my family, just one of us drinks, but we don't. But the environment was different. So look at the current situation. What are we saying? We should be able to use the forums that we have. Just like even the church, even parents, we should talk among ourselves. To know what is, you know, generally, we cannot have same scripts, but generally, let's agree what is the right thing to do to our children. Because coincidentally, we just grow, we got married, you know, all of a sudden you realize, oh, you know, people are pregnant here. We are growing, we are getting children. Then you mean my daughter the other day was very young, now she's a girl. So I don't have notes somewhere to go and start. But if we share it like this, maybe we can know what is the right thing. And even more so, we can share among ourselves and also share with them.
I used to be very close to my mom. I got married when I was around 23 years. So what I wanted to say is that we should be friendly with our kids. I used to be very choosy.
So how many did you choose in your choosing?
Until you finally chose.
Anyway, I was asking, Christy, do you understand your teenage the same way you understood her when she was a baby?
I remember one time my boss was telling another lady that, okay, you see, today you have come in this, the children are going to look at you and then they'll think that those who were never breastfed, they would want to breastfeed. Are you saying that? So you see, now you start from there. Now when you come to your children, you tell them, okay, you know what? This is what is happening at the job market. Maybe where you're going to work, they might need somebody who dresses like this. So please try, because if you don't, it doesn't become a habit. You'll find yourself not dressing well according to the requirements at the place of work.
What they are saying is not really, what they are saying is, well, teach me how you want me to dress because of job market and because of church, or how to dress officially. But do you understand why I dress the way I dress? That is the baseline. Do you understand why I do certain things? Because if you understand me, then it will be very easy for you to know how to get me out of where I am. But when you want to meet me with a bang, like I have done the gravest mistake nobody has ever done in the world, then we are not going to communicate.
I buy, like, even till today, I'm one of those parents maybe who are holding on too much. I buy my kids their dresses. I look at what is trending. I wouldn't want my kids to be stigmatized, by people. They start looking weird because of the rules that I had, that you have to, put on some funny things to look so that you can look religious. And you find some old person dressing weird like a teenager because he never experienced that and he thinks he's fashionable. He goes to the US and he comes and he thinks he has a swag. He's swagging like a teenager who's 12 here in Nairobi. So let the kids grow through the process. And when the time comes, they'll live with those things and they'll mature.
When I was in the university, one of the things I really wanted to, when I was going to university, is that I get a chance to put on dreadlocks. I don't know where I saw them because we didn't have TV. Even my school didn't have TV. But somehow I saw a few people in dreadlocks and I was liking it. I reached university. The only thing which saved me from the dreadlocks is the group of my brothers, schoolmates in Kisa High School, where I went. As a parent, you want to, advise your child not to be in that, because he or she can be in an unnecessary trouble. So that's what you're talking about. You may have that hair, you are not drinking, you are not smoking, but the fact that most people who smoke, most people who have that illicit sex, in the dark corners, do like that, you are likely to be put in that group, even if you are one of the best children.
I advise my children in dressing that dress decently. Don't dress in a way that you provoke anybody. Because a prostitute dresses in a way to provoke a man to get him. So when you dress decently, whoever sees you can know what kind of a person you are.
We're going on a short break, but we'll be right back. Remember, you can always join the conversation on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is 3C Camp, where we connect, engage, and grow. Now, before the break, the parents are having a very interesting but important conversation about bridging the gap between them and the youth. Let's get back to the conversation.
Now, I just need your personal experience, the current one, not the ideal situation. How far do we go with the dialogue that we have with our young people?
My son just finished fourth form, and after they finish fourth form, I normally sit down to talk with him, and I told him, no, you are a big boy, and we need to discuss about sex and sexuality. And then he was like, so what do you want to know? So I was like, but like we've not discussed this. We've like and then he started telling me that they were taught about sex when they're in class 4. So I told him, okay, fine. So you tell me what you know. So he told me what he knows, and he went on, and then I started getting uncomfortable because he knew too much. So like with what he knew, I told him, okay, fine. And he actually told me about sex. He told me about STDs, about AIDS, how people get it. So I told him, okay, as a parent, it's my responsibility to tell you about sex. So this is my version of sex. I know you'll be involved in sex, but now I'm telling you as a mother. Those we are taught in school, it was academic, but I'm telling you in real life, you're going to university, and these things happen. I know, like you said, like you won't have sex, blah, 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 but it happens. You'll find yourself in a room, and then in one way or the other, these things happen. So in the event that things get out of control, you should use protection. This is not what I'm supposed to teach you as a parent. This is what you are supposed to abstain. But if things get so bad, that's what you're supposed to do. But by the end of the day, I just realized that these kids know more than we do. So, but it's your responsibility as a parent to stamp it and say, like, at least tick a box, like, I actually took you through this. But I think they know over and above what we would discuss.
I think most of us, we were brought up in the African setup, where we had the advantage of living in the rural areas. In the rural areas, not just in my community, but I believe in a number of African communities, you find the child belongs to the community. Almost everyone was responsible. You would not go around messing by and a neighbor finds you and just leaves you. You would be dealt with there and then. Now, having brought up in such kind of setup, here we are, like the youths were saying, times have changed, which is very true. We find ourselves now in towns, where at times you don't even know the name of your neighbor, and you've been neighbors for 4 years. Where you hear somebody touch your child, it is war. But we really need to be open, we really need to be free, and start discussing it with these children, especially at that tender age, when they freely come and tell us, Daddy, Mommy, we learned this in school. I think that is where we need to pick it.
The question is, when we talk to these children, what do we tell them? Now, this is how sex is done. Go and stop doing sex, or wait until the right time. And remember, we are talking, and in a way, we are natural parents, but also Christian parents. A few mistakes may have been made earlier. Do you want the same mistakes to happen? Because as they were saying, look at the background in terms of their parents seem as if there is something they want. There's a risk they want to manage. But they are not coming out and say the risk. So the thing is, we as parents need to talk about sex. But again, we also need, when we talk about issues of patience, like that, it is for their own good at the end of the day. As much as parents, of course, we also like it. If our children are responsible, that is okay. But it's for their own good in the meantime. When that time comes, sex will be there for them. Nobody has said they should not have sex. But there are risks which are there, and there are real risks. We are not talking about,
You want to say something, but Molly said something here that really intrigued me. She actually quoted what Paul said, that every time I want to do the right thing, I find myself doing that which I'm not supposed to do. And now that is where now, to her, the condom comes in. If you find yourself doing that which you are not supposed to do, then do it safely. There is the protection of life, and there is also the contradiction in your fundamental belief as a Christian. Okay, tell me something.
We are hindered by two things. We are Christians. We are Africans. Sex was a taboo. Even if you start talking about it, you are not going to open it, as our sister said, and our brother has mentioned. What are we teaching them when it comes to sex? Are we teaching them how to do it? They have learned from the media. I have my own style of talking. Like if I tell you how I like telling my children, including my girl, I tell them, muko vizuri ama saa zingine ni kula hiyo mandazi. And they know when I say mandazi, they start laughing. Unajua mandazi iko mnakula na vijana hiyo mandazi iko na ugonjwa, hiyo mandazi iko na shida zake. Na hiyo mandazi utakula ukijificha, na ikiwa mingi tumbo itafura. And then she knows what I mean. And I say, Kufura, I mean you will be pregnant. And when you're pregnant, you know what is going to happen. And I say, you'd rather be pregnant than getting HIV, being HIV positive. But we are not going to sit down and tell them the exact, because we are not telling them when they are young. At their age, they can be able to understand what we mean. And even if you sit and tell them everything, if they want to do it in a wrong way, they will do it in the wrong way.
Okay, I've done pharmacy as a course, and I've practiced for so long. There's this pill called Morning After. Many ladies come for it. In fact, on Mondays, when I used to dispense in a certain busy pharmacy, we used to sell like 50 to 70 of them. And once you see the ladies who comes to the pharmacy, they're so tiny. Sometimes you ask them, you tell them, I want to talk to you. How old are you? Some would say that I'm 13. Others would say they're 12. You know, that thing really disturbed me. At that time, I took some, I usually take some time, talk to them about the negative side of P2. It's called P2. P2 is a bad drug. It causes infertility. There are side effects about it. Taking too much of it can even causes cancer. But some say that, you know, my boyfriend asked me to do it. If I don't love him, we do it without protection.
The fact that you don't see your girls pregnant does not make them holy. Don't sit pretty and think they are doing fine. We think our girls are too holy, and therefore we don't talk to them. Even if we think they don't have sex, can we just go somewhere a little bit further and talk to them about contraceptives before you get married? Why do we have contraceptives only for the married people? Why is it not meant for young people like us? Even if we assume they don't do, isn't it?
I think the assumption we are having is that all parents know. And that is a misnomer. I think that's an assumption. You can find a parent, this is a representation of a parent who doesn't know what is morning after.
Okay, let me just say, I'm one of them who didn't know anything about morning after. And actually, even when I was in school, I used to hear that there's something, we used to learn in biology that save days, and I didn't know anything. I knew that was for passing. And even when I came into marriage, for passing exams. So some of these things, you find that some parents like me, we are not aware. And now coming to tell your child about morning after, use of condoms, and something like that, you find that you don't have the information.
Once I was employed, I was still a youth. I've just come from university.
But you're still employed, right?
Yes. I was a youth who is employed.
Okay.
Yeah. I know you'll say, I was too old, but I was not. Around 27 there. That was not very old. I was working. I used to work in a place somewhere in Luoland, some parts of Rachonyo there. I went there, and when I left Nairobi, one mother where I was doing a kibarua told me this, hey, umepata kazi, lakini mahali unaenda, I was going to Yugis, mahali unaenda, hey, she was really sympathizing with me, literally sympathizing. And I was like, my son, you know what I'm telling you, is that where you are going, are you married? I looked around to see whether I'm married. I realized I'm not married. I told her, I'm not. I finished school the other day. She said, no, but where you are going, I think you need to see what to do, because if you go there, you will die of AIDS. So I was warned. But I remember this Muse who came, he was an old Muse, and he told me this. In our days, you people, you have no life. He was an old man, an education officer, and he's telling me, you didn't have life. Then I asked him, what do you mean? He told me, in our days, this money, the first salary, it is supposed to be wasted. You invest in, conquering empires, friends. No, girls, not just friends, not with the boys. To use my money, not with the boys. So he used to tell me, this is what we used to do. Then he told me, you know what? I did look at you and I wonder, what can you do with your money? Because if you do the same things we used to do then, oh my goodness, we will start burying you. We will start burying you. Then I listened to that very seriously. What am I saying? The sex education we're talking about is real. We need to have it. One, we need to say, well, whatever they did for school, we have to differentiate life and school. Indeed, as she said, it was for passing exams. Most of us knew that biology. You cram it. But now it is real life. It is us doing the biology. So the young children need to be told that there is sex education, and this is what it entails. Even those condoms, let them be told. Now, for the purpose of life, those are life skills. It's not about education and all that. So that we see how, we are able to use those skills, that the information about sex to move. So it is a fact. We need to talk to our children about sex for their own survival and also for continuity.
Now, I want you to marry this, Elder Chanda, now. The young people are saying, in the West, a girl will bring her boyfriend, you will embrace as a parent, you will even facilitate some of their outings and what have you. Here, they even fear imagining telling you they have a boyfriend, they have a girlfriend.
One, I would say, I'm proud of being an African, because in Africa we have a culture. In the West, they have no culture. So I think comparing what we are with the West, to me, it should not be there at all.
That's day and night.
It is like day and night. To me, that is not a society. Now, coming to the point of nurturing them and telling them, talking about sex education, talking to them about sex. Like we were saying, a number of us in school, we took that as academic and for passing exams. That is why I was saying earlier that when that child comes home and starts telling us this, that is the point we should also continue and let them understand that there is a bit of academic to pass exams and there's a bit of natural life. I want to take it like going to church, being preached to. Do we stop going to church because last Sabbath we had a very good sermon that I don't need to be preached to again? No. We still go. And at times, even when I pass by the street and I hear somebody preaching, I pause for a minute to hear what the person is talking about. I think we should inculcate the same with our children. In as much as they get a lot even from social media, from their peers, from school, from friends, let us still give them what we need to give them as parents, in terms of making them aware, in terms of telling them the dangers, and of course not just telling them dangers, because it is unfortunate when we were young we were being told don't. We need to give a mitigation measure.
But are the youths ready to be told? That's a question. We are assuming that the youths are so good, they listen, but we don't want to tell them. And I think that is not right. Because why I'm saying that is because, we have stayed with youth, we have had youth. Sometimes you sit in the house and you talk to your children, you talk to the youths in the house, their nephews, their what, and you are telling them, when the right time comes, please tell me if you have, even if it's not that right time, because if they ask you what is the right time, I don't know, you don't have a divination where, you are 18, because an ID does not make you a grown-up, No. That's one thing we forget, that you have an ID. I heard them saying you have an ID. So when you have an ID, doesn't mean you know everything. Even us, as I am now, I'm still learning. But you tell them, they don't hear. You just hear, like I have a relative somewhere somewhere. One of these days has just disappeared. Amanda. It's nowhere. But, I remember the talk I used to talk. I have to tell, when you feel you have a boyfriend, bring him here, we will talk, like that. You want to persuade her to bring when that time comes. But umesikia Amanda, what do you do? Because the youths are also not ready to listen.
If you met the right person, it's this one. So you can't meet a boyfriend today and then you take them home. But when you meet the right person, this is the right person. And you cannot have a right person every year. There's something wrong with you.
But you see,
I'm giving an example of my niece. All the time, because I was taking care of her, I used to tell her, do you have someone? You tell me? No. Until when she got married to someone as a husband. Yeah. You see where there's a problem. Where did I go wrong? Because all the time I was asking. She couldn't tell me because she knew she was not dating a boyfriend, but she was dating someone as a husband. That's where there's a problem.
She had that she knew that someone was not worth bringing to you.
Yeah, exactly.
The youths are afraid of bringing everyone, which is true. Of course, you don't just collect anybody making a proposal is not a good candidate. But by the time it has reached where you have gone, There was a threshold. At least ilifika mahali ungekuja useme, leo ninaenda, ama niko na huyu na huyu. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, the problem for you is that this was a married person. This is somebody who is not married. She goes, 3 months after, she's come back. I want to talk to her on the phone. She's not picking my phone. She can't talk to me up to even now. The challenge is, because she knows all those things I told her, she now can't. I wish she listened. I have no problem with someone bringing a boyfriend.
I have an issue. You know, when you say the youth, it's too general.
Yeah.
I want you to look at it as my son, my daughter. What do you want for your son or your daughter? You want the best for them.
Yes. Exactly.
You want them such that when they get to your age, they don't have the problems you are having now. We try to let them avoid the problems we had when we were also young. So when we just address them as youth, to me, I feel a bit uncomfortable because we are too general.
As if you have no problems.
My-
you have no problems.
No,
you are perfect.
my point is, like he says, we need to be real. We need to accept where we went wrong. And we need to be honest and tell our children, at your age, I did 1, 2, 3, and you see what happened to me? It was one, this and that, which was not good. So please, don't take this part. You see,
you know
that
why
way.
the problem is when
Yeah.
you tell them like that?
Yes.
They will tell you we want as well to experience. Let us reach there and then we leave. Seriously. Wanakuambia na mimi nataka nijione. Why do you want me to live before I experience? So how are you going to do this? Do you want them to experience, or this is where you start fighting now?
We're going on a short break, but remember, you can always engage us on our social media platforms, that is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be right back. Welcome back to 3C Camp, where we connect, engage, and grow. From the discussion, it is clearly important for us to have open dialogue in our houses. Let's get back to the conversation.
Most of the problems our children have is the approach. We don't know how to approach them. They don't know how to approach us. How do we communicate with our children? If we befriend them, we become friends, not even parents. We become friends. We talk one-to-one. I can remember my eldest son, when he had an issue, like it was somebody very intelligent in school. So when he used, I could just tell him, now you are at the age of 17 and I've heard so you are moving with so and so. Do you want to marry now? No, I don't want to marry. I only want to create a good relationship. Hiyo tu ya kuongea, si ni kuongea, kwani wewe umefikiria wapi? So if they have a way they can approach us, like I'm very prestigious of my daughters, very prestigious of them, because they talk and talk. So and so was my boyfriend, but do you know, simtaki tena. Kwa nini? Is reasoning like a small girl, not even a boy now. Reasoning yake, he doesn't think beyond, is just there. And even the parents are by much far better than him. And I'm not marrying the parents. I'm marrying him. Now, how am I going to stay with him? And then you see such like things. If you befriend your children, you talk with them. When they go high, we unachifanya we ndio mchinga. You come down because you want to learn something from them. And then you talk with them. You say, oh, of course you have said this, but fikiria, suppose you do this and this and this, what will be the outcome? And at the end of the day, you'll find the solution. Again, if these kids, like my second son, I think everybody in this area knows Amos. Amos was what? A terrible kid. Because he could drink, he could do all sorts of nonsense. And when he comes, he tells me, you know I'm a man. You know I'm a man, and I know really what I'm doing. Then I used to tell him, of course I know you are a man, but now you are useless. Do you know you are a useless man? Yes. And then he could come and say, in the morning, he could come and say, Mommy,
kwani nilikukosea? Hapana, ukunikosea, ingia kwa nyumba tuongee. And that is how I befriended him, despite the fact that of what he was. I used to befriend him. I could just tell him, come, let's go to church. Halafu anachiangalia, he is drunk. He could not go to church. And then namwambia kucha tu tuende, ukae huku nyuma. Ukisikia unataka kulala, we lala tu hivi. And then we come back. And that is what we used to do. But when he became so bad, I took him to police station. He was beaten. And then he told me, now, can you do me to that, mom? Yes, I can do it. And then now, we continued just like that. One day, he woke up in the morning, he told me, I will never drink again, mom. I will never. And I've seen you, the best mom so far on this earth. Okay. So are you going to teach others? Yes, I'm going to help others to come out of the place where I have been. So if you befriend them, like now, if he calls now and then he starts talking with somebody around this place, the first thing is just to laugh and say, hey, mnakumbuka vile nilikuwa nafanya kweli? So as much as they talk the way they are talking that parents are bad, it is because they know what they are doing behind our backs. I know of one girl when I was investigating KU. This girl came to me, and then somebody told me, do you know that girl? I said, no, I don't know her. She's a Seventh-day Adventist. But the way she drinks here, you can't imagine. And then I was just talking to her. I talked. Unfortunately, she died. And then she told me, I wish you were my mom. If my mom could have listened to me and I expressed myself to her, I could not be the way I am. So you see, there is that barrier we put in between us and our children.
You know, sometimes we are hit until we are not ourselves. So the issue of like you're going to discuss that you got the way to discuss with that girl, the mother couldn't. You know, sometimes you get surprised, you are hit, you get a stroke. You're walking, but you're a zombie, as my sister is saying. You are a zombie. So the decisions that you are making are not the right decisions from you. Even as much as they were saying, like, my parents, my dad or my mom doesn't talk to me. It's not their wish. It's all that you wake up in the morning and what, is this my daughter doing this? Or is this my son doing this? Then you are gone completely. When you come home, you feel you want to be alone. You don't want to see this person. You think about, and you know, like most of us parents, we are struggling to educate these children to this level where they are. And they can't understand. We are struggling with your small salary for them to go to school. So you struggled and you are looking forward and saying, by this time, I should have finished. Then you find someone doing like that. Now you are completely gone. You look at the person, you say, I don't want to talk to you because you're not understanding me. And if you don't understand me, why should I understand you?
Exactly. Yeah, but
let's not look at parents like that.
The challenge here is when they were getting into the teenage, we used to understand them before. Then all of a sudden, we are absent from their lives.
Exactly.
And by the time we are absent from their lives, that is when they need us most. Because they need to understand how they are getting into that life. Some of them...
I thought they are saying that we are too present.
No.
We need to let go.
Too present in terms... We are too... They are saying too present in terms of looking at them as children. But not present in terms of understanding them and walk them through that stage.
They want us to understand them. They don't want to understand us. You know, it's a two-way thing. Most of the time they carry themselves with a lot of attitude. You know, like somebody comes, they have an attitude. You know, even the way somebody wants to go out, they want to ask you for money. The way they're asking for that money is like you kept some money somewhere for them. They just come and pick.
Because I'm somewhere.
You know, yeah, it's like you are just an ATM, you give out the money. They can come ask for money. You don't have money. And you tell them, by the way, today I'm so pressed and I don't have money. And if it's a good kid who's very intelligent, they'll know the situation in this house at the moment mom cannot afford to have this money. Somebody has given a date, they want to go for that date, whether you have that money or not. Tell them that you cannot afford to have that money now, or not even that. Tell them they want 1,000, tell them give them 500. How they'll walk out of there with an attitude. You start wondering, it's my money, I'm giving you 500 of my money that I have worked for 30 days.
Only.
And then that cannot even be enough for transport. Every time I ask you for things, you don't give me, and they're walking,
Now they're calling.
they're going, and she's going with an attitude. And then you're wondering, she doesn't even know whether you even have money for tomorrow. It's all about her.
Okay, now,
It's an attitude.
Before that,
let me just mention it. We need to let, in our life, we need to let our children understand and know what we do, even how we live. At times, we struggle so much to make our children happy that the children don't understand what we go through.
Exactly.
Let the children know.
They do.
A time when you are jobless, let them know, although you are still struggling to provide, currently you are jobless.
You don't have a job, it's your problem. Me, I have my own life. You deal with it's your problem.
Okay, wait.
That's your problem.
there's something we may lose.
One thing that we shall not achieve is to have these people understand us. We can't achieve that. And I will tell you why. I'll tell you why we can't achieve that. It is because when they are getting into their teenage, there are a lot of things that are happening in their lives that in most cases they don't even understand themselves. You see, these people, at this moment, they don't understand themselves. They want you to walk them.
But this,
and that is the time you leave them.
How am I going to understand them if they don't
just try to
understand?
the kids that we are talking
How am I going to
to,
understand
a
them if
youth,
they don't understand
a youth is not a kid. The only time that somebody has issues is somebody who's 12, 13, and that one. But somebody who is at the university, like seriously, doesn't understand the situation in the house. Like they don't know, if you assuming that you are even working and you have a salary, besides you taking care of 4 kids, when she was maybe the firstborn, you are taking care of her. Now everybody's at the university. Now you have to explain to her that this same salary that I have 4 years now, I have to pay for all of you. Can't they think? Can they be? It's about being responsible for your family. They have to be accountable for this wholly. You are not a provider. They are supposed to. They have a stake in this house, and they are supposed to take responsibility for what's happening in that house.
There's something here.
Yes.
Maybe we need to understand, so that we don't get out of here without underscoring it. The concept of working together with our children. What does it mean? If we are talking of, you have to realize, of course, some of those changes we're talking about, biological changes, the socio environment and all that. That we need to, and we know. Because of that, maybe that's why you are saying we are too protective. You are saying, yes, how do you dress? What is the implication of your dressing? I've understood. So I want to work with her and tell her, look, when you put a miniskirt like this, because the other point there is saying this one is ready for sex. Because this is how she is dressing. If it's not dressing.
Don't even say the boy.
The next.
They are confusing even their parents' friends.
Yes. Yeah.
A man is a man,
Yes.
whether old or young.
Yeah.
When someone is covered, the man has no interest and doesn't even think there is anything there.
And
If you come to my house and find raw meat on the table, you'll never think of anything. But if you find nyama choma on the table, hata kama uliambiwa jana from the hospital not to eat nyama choma, you say, let me test.
Hairstyle, we have talked about it. It has nothing. There's no problem with it.
Yeah.
But we are guiding. Even you do this is what it means. Then you are going to sex. There's no problem with sex. It is sex. It is through sex that they are there, those children of ours. That one we know. But now we are saying there is a right time for this. So you want to tell them, you know very well the circumstances under which this sex can be attained illicitly or in the wrong way. So you are saying if you come late, if you are in the wrong company, those kind of things.
Yeah.
When you go to university, this is how you should behave. Then now the problem is you are too much on us. Now then how can we work together?
Okay, let me ask Molly something. Yeah? This boy that now you want to understand your situation, from year 3, anauliza sweet, unatafuta pesa, unaenda unanunua. By and by, whatever this person asks, you will go out of your way to find means of ensuring that he gets what he wants. I want this kind of toy, you will get, baby. You are bringing. I want this, you will get. You will bring. In fact, at times you even stop your activities to go and bring what this boy needs. At 16, you want this boy to understand that you don't have money. Are we being fair to them? Just look at it from that situation. Exactly.
I'm looking at it this way, yeah? Because like they're trying to tell us they're responsible and you should let them be. Part of being responsible and let them be is growing up. You know, they have to prove that, and it comes with the responsibility. Being responsible is not me letting you go do your will because you are responsible. It comes with growing up, which means like you have a stake in this family. You have to honor the rules, abiding by this family, and you have a family name that you have to uphold. You know, so like it comes with responsibility. So if you want to have freedom, you know, which money is this that you're going to have freedom with? You know, it comes with the responsibility. You know, if you come to me and I tell you I don't have money, you cannot make your own plans. You're taking a lady for a date. We are going to meet at KFC. You've not come to me first, and then you expect I'm going to fund it. But then I don't have a problem giving you money. But at this particular time, I don't have it. And then I don't have it. You start throwing attitude. All of a sudden, it's like I was supposed to. So why don't you, if you are a responsible person, you'd have known, like, Mom doesn't have money now. Or you tell me, Mom, I need to ask so and so out for a date. Do you have money on Friday? Please organize. We can have it on Friday. Somebody doesn't give you a notice. Responsibility.
I think let us understand that children are also very intelligent, even at a tender age. And these children will test you. They will push you to see how far they can stretch you. The more you become flexible, the more they try to push you. So I think we also need to accept that as parents, there are certain mistakes we make, especially when the children are below 10, 12 years. We try to pamper them so much. We try to, as much as possible, we go out of our way to make them happy. When they reach a certain age, which we think now they are understanding, because at that time we thought they were not understanding, so we do whatever they want. It reaches a certain age when we now want to stop them and tell them, the conflict would start coming in. My point is, one, let us be friends with our children, as one of us was saying earlier. Number two, let our children understand that whatever happens, whatever situation, they are still our children. So that it makes them also be able to open up. And talking of working with them, I want to give a typical case I had in my house. My boy, who is in Form 2 now, then he was in class 8. One day we come from church, we reach the gate, one of them comes out of the car to open the gate. So once the gate is open, he tells me, Daddy, let me park the car. One, I was shocked. Does he know how to park the car? He was in class 8 then. Yes. Then I give him, everyone gets out of the car. Hey, come on, yeah. Let us come out of the car. Yes. I decided to stay on. I say, fine. Okay, something went into my mind that this boy, I don't think this is the first time he's doing it. Most likely, he has been doing it in my absence. Yes. So I move to the passenger seat. I tell him, come.
And you prayed?
Of course, I prayed silently. So this boy from the gate, in fact, I switched off the engine. He starts the car, puts the gear, disengages the handbrake, and he moves and parks the car where I normally park it. So I was like, hey, I didn't want him to know that I had some issues. So I let it pass. So another day I tell him, see, we go stroll. See, you can drive up to the road. He was so happy. He came. So as he was driving now, I was asking him how he came to learn of this. He tell you, but I've been seeing you do it. And then the younger brother was telling me, si hata kuna siku tulitoa gari when you... And truly that day, I was a bit suspicious. I looked at the car, I was like, is this the exact spot I'd parked the car? So it had been moved. So, but my point is,
after realizing this, one, I didn't quarrel him. Two, I learned this boy, the best thing for me to do now is to help him know how to drive the car safely. It happened that we were going up country in a few days' time. So we went with him. Up country, there are no police, the roads are open. So I would let him drive me wherever I wanted to go. And everyone was like, hey, this boy can drive as young as he is. And he developed the confidence. In the process, we became very good friends. We would discuss and he would tell me things and things. You know, as we drive, boys, it is natural. You see a lady pass, you check the side mirror. I would see him doing that. Of course. We pass and I see him checking the side mirror. So it gave me an opportunity now to start learning him, know where he is, and also discussing certain things. Now, if at that point I could have told him, hey, how do you know how to drive? Have you driven my car before? Who told you to do it? He could have withdrawn, and I couldn't have known so much. So I think the point here again, let us be friends with our children, and even at a tender age, let us not entertain certain things we do to please them. If it is sweets, even if I have money, the sweet may not be that costly. Let the child know that at times that sweet cannot be there.
Yeah.
At times he or she can miss the sweet. So that the child knows, hey, today daddy ana pesa. We can't get the sweet. The child would grow to know that at times it can't be there, at times it can be there. Let also teach them to know how to plan. That if it is the sweet you want tomorrow, let me know about it today.
Exactly.
Then they also learn, we inculcate in them that culture of planning.
Okay, as you are teaching them at that tender age, you'll find that when they grow up, they see others, what their parents are doing to them. Like now ours, they knew that daddy doesn't have, mommy doesn't have. But now as they grow up, actually they go to school, they find others, they come with these, and then they start asking you, now why can't you provide for us also those things that the others are providing? So sometimes it is a challenge because of where we...
These children, as I said earlier, they can be 4, as she's saying, but one might be totally difficult. Whether you taught them in which way, go back to the Bible, the lost son. Why did he decide to run away from home and take what belonged to him? While the other one remained. Do you want to tell me the father was giving him different teachings? They were taught the same way. But you never meet someone who's different. Even as we are like this, we have siblings who are difficult. That we cannot be like who we are. Or we may be difficult than them.
That is why we should know our children. As an individual, you may have 10 children, but you have to know each as an individual. His or her own characteristics and how to handle each.
Yeah.
Another thing yes.
Exactly.
Another thing I was teaching some 2 girls on how to cook, and then they asked me, why should I know how to cook? And my mom is there. And then I told them, but how old are you? One told me she's 21, another one told me she's 17 years. And then I was telling them, now, are you going to stay with your mom forever? Of course, where are we going? And then now, I came down, I just humbled myself. Now I was telling them, now I'm big enough. See, I have children. Yeah. Are they with me? No. Where are they? They got married. Don't you think one day you'll get married? So,
who is going to cook for their children?
Yeah. One day you'll also have your own children. Now, like the youths, our children, the way they are talking, let them know that one day they'll also have their own children. They'll have their own homes where they will stay with their own children. How could they like them to behave? How are they going to communicate with them? How are they going to stay with them?
There's something which I had, and I was asking, it was like I'm being informed. When we say that you can bring the boyfriend, the girlfriend, at least when you have shortlisted and at an advanced level. What if it doesn't reach there? I think as parents, we also need to, because those are some of the fears which maybe we have as parents. In the process of trying to get Mr. Right, Mrs. Right, the mistake could be done and we can't help it. Maybe sit a time, as parents we need to think and start allowing wacha tuletewe wote tusaidie tusaidie kwa shortlisting, because I'm saying that because there is a risk of the first one, ile mwenye utaki kuleta unajaribu alafu imeingia mali ingine hapo na mtoto. Sasa huyu she's the wrong one, lakini amekuja na mtoto, tutafanya namna gani? So should we enter earlier a bit?
What my brother is saying is, it is not your responsibility to tell them bring. But if they feel they are able to bring, let them bring. Don't chase them away.
But
that's what I can say.
Again, now
that atmosphere.
Yeah, give them the atmosphere, but don't look like you are pushing them to bring, so that they can say, you know, that one you made me to bring. The other one is mommy. The other one is auntie. When they reach.
Create the purpose of the boyfriend? Create that atmosphere. What's the purpose of the boyfriend? Why I'm asking that is, you know, if you are talking about a boyfriend, we are assuming that she's looking for a husband or a wife. Is that what our children want?
Not necessarily. No.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So now in that case, that's where that parents will differ.
And by the way, it is not always true that the boyfriend and the girlfriend is just about sex. Some of them may have boyfriends and girlfriends, but they never have sex. And that is not even in their discussion. They just want to associate. You know, like, they just want to associate with a different gender. That is it. But our mind is, you have started having sex so early.
No, but that's now where we need to work together, so that we know how can you not go to the other side.
I think let us understand the society we live in.
Yes.
How complex this society is with the technology that there is. And let us, let me say, let us play our role as parents to be fair and to be firm. So that we also create an atmosphere where our children or the youth can be also free with us, to tell us what they feel, to tell us what their plans are, to tell us their challenges. A number of times these things happen because they are a bit fearful. They don't know how you're going to react when they bring up that issue. But if they know, however bad it is, however good it is, Daddy, Mommy will give me a listening ear. And if it is bad, I know he'll tell me, 1, 2, 3, don't do it. If it is good, he will accept it. If they know that, they would be open. Even if it's a boyfriend they can't bring home, they will tell you, so and so is my friend, wachana na huyu siwezi kamleta nyumbani.
We're taking another short break, but remember, you can always send your views on our social media platforms. Welcome back to 3C Camp. Clearly, parents have more to share with us. Let's get back to the conversation.
Forcing your children to give you what you never got in school. And of late we have heard of young people even committing suicide because their parents slammed them for the grades that they got. And some are really pushing, forcing themselves to be engineers because my father wanted to be an engineer. He never got to be an engineer, so he wants to get his engineer in me. So achieving our failed academic excellence in our children. And it is giving them real pressure. So how do we deal with this?
In most cases, actually, parents actually don't have a choice. My daughter knew she wanted to be an engineer by the time she was in class 4. My second son wanted to be a doctor, and then he wanted to be in real estate. By the time he was doing exams, he didn't know what he wanted to do. So by the end of the day, the Ministry of Education decided for him what he wants to do, what he had to do. So they took him to do mathematics. And he started hating maths. He told me, Mom, we do maths from day one. In the evening, there's maths, alibas, they are maths, but they are 4, 6, but they are just maths in different forms. So it got notorious, yeah? So, and then, so I told him, you know what? The ministry have decided for you what to do. So you just have to be a mathematician. So I thought he's a mathematician. So we went with that. And then the kids started now getting smaller and smaller. So the only thing which was left was the head. But sometimes, yeah. And then the sister told me, Mom, you need to talk with Eugene. He's actually not doing. So I told him, like, is this thing affecting you so much? He told me, like, I can't take this anymore. I'm doing so well. He's so good in maths. I'm doing so well. But I think of going to school and doing those things I can't take it. So I took him to Parallel. But I should have taken him to Parallel to start with.
Earlier.
You know, but like before, the option was like, why am I paying when I can't? You know, so sometimes it's as much as sometimes it's like you have kids who know what they want. You have some that wait for fate to come their way, and the ministry sometimes give your kids what to do. Yeah. You know, so like as much as sometimes like the kid to say like, I'm pushing you to be an engineer. I know all my kids. I know their strength. I know their weakness. There are some who are so smart, but they just assume that though in class 1 they used to be number 1 and things come their way. It gets to a point in their life that they have to work hard. So if I tell you that you can actually be an engineer, I believe in you. And you should actually feel honored that I actually believe that you can be an engineer, because I can see the potential in you and you're not giving it your best. So by the time somebody realizes, maybe after they are 30, that actually I could have been an engineer.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a need for, that's more of career guidance and working with them in terms of their career. But the biggest challenge, as you said, is where we want to fulfill our lost. I wanted to be a dentist. I don't know what I was going to do with the teeth, but that's what I wanted to be. Little did I know that I could not make it, because I didn't make it anyway. But now I necessarily force my son, my daughter to be a dentist. So that's what I wanted to do. So it's good as parents we leave this opportunity to our children, but that opportunity must be guided. Because again, I don't know, there is a sense nowadays where I realize that people are talking about talent and the career, and that all of them are like musicians. I don't know where it came from. Everybody's like, you know, I'm talented here. I wish my parents, you know, they want to be musicians. I am not sure that God created all of us, all of this generation to be musicians. It's because they like music and all that. So guidance becomes very important, because by the time they realize they are not musicians, it will be too late for them. So that's not like giving them what I want.
The guidance there is fine. What I'm talking about is Elder Chanda insists even my home must produce a doctor.
Yeah.
You must be a doctor. I mean, I cannot have a home without a doctor, and so is a doctor, so and so has a doctor. I also have to be a doctor. I also have to have a doctor. So he forces his child to do medicine, even if his interest is not in medicine.
Mm-hmm. If you have somebody who actually doesn't know what they want to do in life, the results are out there. So you ask them, so like, what do you want to do? Like, actually not sure. I'm still like, they don't know. So as a parent, will you sit and wait? You choose for them. Choose.
You give guidance. You don't choose for them.
But they still can't choose.
There's the issue of passion. There's the issue of the child's ability. As a parent, you are the first teacher to your child. And you'll always be a teacher to your child. It's good to know the passion of your child and also the ability of your child. If these two are clear to you, and you also let the child know that this is his ability, this is what he's capable of, combined with his passion, it would be easy to guide the child in a career. But I think forcing a child that you must do this, or what I wanted to do in life and I missed, I think that is just ruining the child's future. Because one, he may have the mental capacity to do it. I even have a case of a classmate. We did the same course and we finished. We were even employed at one time at the Ministry of Public Works. But at one time he was sacked. Why? He did engineering, but he couldn't do engineering.
I trained as a nurse in Mukumu. When I was in second year, I was hijacked. I never went through the right way of marriage with my husband now. I was just hijacked. Ni ile tu. And then now, my father was so bitter with my husband now. So he told me, you are not going to be a nurse. I don't like that profession. So what are you going to do? He took me to teaching.
So you are not completed?
No, I had not completed. The husband. Now, up to now, that is why I decided to go to special needs. Because special needs, I like dealing with suffering people. And even when I did my audiology, so at times I just sneak out of school. I just go to do what? To check people, the ears and whatever and such like things. I can make hearing molds and such like. So I just like that. When I see somebody is injecting, I just feel, oh, I wish I just do it. And I want to retire nurse, by the way. Yes, I just want to retire nurse. I just want to tell him, oh, this was your profession.
It is
And
over
even,
now.
yes, I usually tell my daughter, I just tell her, don't be a teacher. Quit out of that teaching, please.
Your daughter to be a nurse.
I want her to do. I don't like teaching. And by the way, when the officers come in school, we are 3 in class. Just tell them, Maggie, sister, why can't you give out your documents? Me, I don't have, and I don't make. I do my work perfectly, but iyo kuandika, I don't like.
After I did my A levels, I wasn't able to go to university, but I passed. Now my dad was like, I want a lawyer in my family. So the only thing those days were like, I go to India. I processed everything. I got a university. My dad gave me money for the tickets. I carried the money. I came to Nairobi to get the tickets and the school fees. I told my sister, do you know what? I don't want to be a lawyer. What do you want to be? I said, I feel like I can be a very good chef. Can you look for me where I can train as a chef? If you don't find that, I want to be a designer. Not a tailor, a designer. So we went to, there was a college called Evelyn International. Evelyn International. Yeah, Riara Road. So they told me, we are sorry, until next year we have taken. Now I said, now, can I get where I can train how to cook now? Then she said, easy for me, I'm going to get it for you. I got a place. And now my dad was mad. My dad was even not worse, my mom. I took his money. Here is your money. I've not taken anything. Then my dad said, I will never pay for you as long as you're not doing that. I said, it's okay. I came back. My mom was like, you know the way she can put it in Kikisi? Are you going to cook for women? Not like even for men, for women. I said, yes. So whenever I went home, it's like, that one who cooks for women. Will you ever get a wife? I said, yeah. Utakuwa unapikia bibi. Nikamwambia, yeah, I'm okay. So I went on, I started the course. Now what became so wrong is like, to her, I met, when there was the cheerleader for Maendeleo Wanawake was Wilkista Onsando. She met me cooking. And she was like, a kissy boy? No, she was very happy. I am happy. A kissy boy. We became friends. She told me, this is my number. Come to Maendeleo Wanawake house. Come, we discuss. So now I have someone who really understands what I can do. So when I go home, wapi yule anapikia kina Wilkista Onsando. But it never hurt me because it was my passion. It was my passion. Now when she realized I did the right thing is like, I finished my course within 3 years. My friends who had gone to university, even locally, they were just finishing as well because we used to go for 3 years. So I'm done, they are done. I am working, I'm the one who gives them pocket money. It's like, so-and-so has not gotten a job and you are having a job. I think you did the right thing. She came to realize later. Until now. When I went now doing a degree, it's like, you mean there's a degree for cooking? There's a degree for cooking. So this is how it is. My dad wanted to do what you are saying because he lacked a lawyer. In his family, I'd looked, I have this, I have that, I need a lawyer. But now I was being sacrificed to be a lawyer, not because I wanted to be a lawyer.
What's the last?
Hey. So he knew that if I don't, then there is nothing.
And at times we fail to understand that even these people, they can fail, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
In class 8, they can fail. In Form 4, they still can fail.
But they are not failures.
And we have cases of young people who have committed suicide because they have failed and they don't see where they are going to take this grade 2. At home, the parents are expecting flying colors and nothing else. And at times they are warned, don't bring anything less. So, and whoever is warning them, and that is what they were saying, you were the number one. Every time you were the perfect one.
But sometimes even these boys and girls are playing. We know their capabilities. Someone is supposed to pass. They are sleeping.
Because they're clever, you know.
And as we keep on saying, I have no problem giving an example of my son. My son went to Form 1. When he went to Form 1, Nairobi school. Now because he had come from where he used to top, when he went to Nairobi school, and he went a bit late, out of, I think there were 465, I think he was 464. So he sat and said, like, now me, I'm useless, I'll never do anything. Remove me from this school. So my question was, where do you want to go to? Take me to Upper Hill. Why? I want to go and at least defeat a few. Now, how are you going to reason with this person? This is where now you become an African parent. I told him it's not possible. The boy continued. You know, when we used to go for this, the days they have, what they call it? Career, academic day, yeah. We used to go with the mother, you know, we check from the back. You know, there's number 1 up to number 400, and so you check from the back. So one time you find today he has tried, he has defeated 3. We continued like that. This is life. When the boy is going to Form 3, they are told you shouldn't go because you underperformed. You remain 100 of them. The boy comes home. He didn't tell me. And he travels home to see my parents. The next thing on a Monday, I'm told by Tuesday, if he's not in school, expansion. Where am I going to get a school? I call him. Did you know? Yes. And why did you go? They didn't tell us when we were getting, they told us when we were finishing. He's lying to me. Come back. This is now when you become African. The kicks and the blows. The kicks and the blows. When I took him back to school, the rest were being beaten. The principal looked at him like this and said, this one, don't touch him. Everything has been done. He's been dealt with. He slept hungry. That's the last time I fought with him. The boy went back to class. The next time we went, we were looking from behind. Did they forget his name? 5 is not there. 10 is not there. 50 is not there. No. 100, 200. It was like 200 and something. The boy is waking up. Finally, now he performed and he passed. So sometimes, you know, there are times it reaches where you have to.
That's not the end of career. So did you force him to go for that?
No, now he's asking me something else again.
Yes.
Now the boy comes. He tells me I want to be an architect all through. So now, like, they have chosen careers. It's architecture. Comes home and says, like, I used to tell him to be a doctor, and he said, no, I don't want to be a doctor. Then he tells me, do you know one thing that I didn't know? I want to be a dentist, not a doctor. I don't want to see blood all the time operating people's tummies. I want to be a dentist. Ask him, did you choose that? Said, no, but we have an opportunity again. We're going to choose. So we can do it. So eventually when he comes, I realize that he can only go, he cannot be taken unless I start paying, and I realize outside is a bit cheaper. So can you go outside? Are you ready to study the Russian? I'm ready. Are you sure? I'm giving you time. If you think it's not the right thing, you can change. So finally, it's his choice. Me, I don't force people. Even Sally said she's doing music. Someone asking me music, is she going to sing? We're going to watch. So it becomes a bit difficult for people to understand, and people can discourage you. Some will encourage you. But eventually, these children will fight, and the most important thing, we are praying for them.
I think what comes out clearly is that it reaches a time when you have to stamp your authority as a parent.
As a parent, yeah.
In as much as you also give the child, the youth, an opportunity to pursue his or her passion, you also need to stamp your authority as a parent. And that is what parenting is.
Yes.
And above all, we also need to continue praying for them.
And the issue is we want them to be their potential. They have a potential. You can see this child can be this, but because of the environment, the noise in the environment, if you ukiragarega, then they will not be it. And later on, they will say, if you were tough on me, I could have been, because they come to see later. So the issue is not really that we want them, but their potential, because they have a potential which they may not have realized as we move on.
Everything that we do for our kids. So when you are doing these things, you love your kid so much. So when you are choosing that career and you are trying to tell them not to go anywhere, whatever you are telling them out of love, not because you hate them or you despise them or you think of anything. Everything that you do, and sometimes we make big mistakes, and we realize that we make mistake. When I make mistake, I tell my kids that I've made a mistake and I own up. But bottom line, they know, like, no matter what I do it for their own. In fact, most of the time it's for their own good, not even for my own good. And I think if they look at it that way, they'll really appreciate it better.
I think our children, they will still remain our children, but we know very well that they are going to be grown up and be their own. All that we are doing now is in preparation for that life, to support them the much we do. Where we have maybe done one or two mistakes, as parents, we should own up and retrace our steps so that we guide them, so that at the end of the day, we all celebrate. That's what we are looking for. We are not atukali sana, tunakalia, but it's for their own good.
To the youth or our children, we have to admit, at your age, at one time we were never the best. And all that we try to do, the mistakes we make, we are not making to hurt you, but we are making to help you. And remember, because of age, we are more experienced than you. So we may have seen certain things which you have not seen. So when we guide you, please take that guidance positively. And above all, let us lay all our plans to the Lord to lead us.
It has been a very interesting, hot, but most of all, valuable talk with the parents. I hope this conversation was an eye-opener to both the young and the old. This has been 3C Camp, where we connect, engage, and grow. I've been your host, Benta. Join us next time for more interesting topics. God bless you.